Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a startup business? Are you a local business? Are you an artist? Are you looking for someone to distribute your content? Revive Radio is the place to be. Come advertise with us at Revive Radio right now. You can find that advertising page at reviveisalive.com. Once again, reviveisalive.com. Advertise with Revive. We are reaching thousands of millennials all across the world. And once again, reviveisalive.com is where you can find that information.
They were supposed to do. That's not necessarily what you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So you have to come and find out and get that. I mean, if you don't, and if you're in a situation where you don't have it, you haven't been downloaded, meaning that you haven't had that epiphany, then and you're looking for that epiphany, and this is a time where you need to go in your space and get some quiet time. It will come to you. Whatever you're supposed to do will come to you. And you just got to get into that space. Why do you think that a lot of these movie stars and successful CEOs and so forth, once they get to a certain plateau, you always see them flying around the world to Tibet and different other places to meditate and get in tune? You listen to Will Smith and Jada in terms of what they do, and some of the things that Beyonce has talked about in terms of going places and getting in tune and getting themselves aligned so they can keep being successful. So you don't have to wait until you get to that point. I mean, maybe you need to tap in so that you can get to that point. And that really is everything. Because when you look at the most successful people, these are the people that do yoga. These are the people that take time to be by themselves and hear their inner voice. Mm-hmm. Your inner voice will drive you to exactly where you need to go. And it seems like a bunch of fluff, but it is absolutely truthful.
Definitely agree with you on that. And one thing that you said too about support, and then when you broke down, fear and what possible fear can be, when you say generational fear, that's where the support comes in too, because a lot of us don't want to start, or a lot of us don't want to continue because we're not getting that support from our families, from our intermediate family, our parents, different things like that. So we tend to shy away from, going into entrepreneurship, or we've seen them fail, them try to start something and they didn't necessarily succeed. So then we feel as though we're not going to succeed as well.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make. Some people give up prematurely. Just because you have been downloaded or get an idea and you have a passion behind it does not mean that your first time at bat you're going to hit a home run. And we talked about this briefly last week about learning how to fail. And what does failing do to you? Failing gives you the lesson, and it prepares you for the next step. And once you overcome that hurdle of failure, and it hurts, and it's frustrating, and it might be financially draining. But if you know that's what you're supposed to, if you know in your heart of hearts that's what you're supposed to be doing, the road will get easier, and then you'll hit that abundance. But it may not be the first time. It may not. They say the average time that a person actually tries before they become any measurement of success is about 7 times. But it might be 7 times 7. That may be your journey.
That number 7 is definitely powerful, because they say the same thing about having 7 streams of income. Once you have mastered the ability of getting 7 streams of income,
right,
you won't have any financial problems at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right.
And see, the thing of it is that especially for us as a people, we have been told for hundreds of years of things that you can't do. And when you start telling the people that you can't go so far off of this plantation, and you can't vote, and you can't live in certain areas, and you can't participate in the military, you can't work at these places and so forth and so on, go to these country clubs and whatever have you, then that word of can't comes down generationally. And then we find ourselves talking to our children in that same type of verbiage. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other thing. So it's not the fault of your parents or your parents' parents, it's what they've been exposed to. But you have to also realize that there was always first in everyone's family. There was the first person that went to high school. It was the first person that graduated high school. It was the first person that went to college. It's the first person that had a job in a white collar situation. It was the first person that joined the union. It's always first in everybody's family. So why does it have to stop being first?
Facts. Let me give you some numbers really quick. So according to the Small Business Administration, more than half of small businesses survive for 5 years or more, and about 1/3 of them survive for more than 10 years. So 51% of small businesses are 10 years old or less, and 32% of small businesses are 5 years old or less. Roughly about a third of new businesses exit within their first 2 years of being in business, and about half of them exit within their first 5 years of being business. The survival rate of a new small business has not been remarkably consistent over the past 10 years.
Right.
So it's not consistent right now. So according to the Small Business Administration, if you want to start, a small business, it's not likely that you will last.
Right. And one of the there's many factors to that is the type of business and the type of location that you actually pick, and a lot of different looking at your competition, and a lot of factors go into that. But one of the key factors into that is not knowing how to delegate. A lot of times we start small businesses, and it is our passion, and it is our mission, but we don't realize that if you squeeze anything that's living too hard, it will die. So you will have to, if you're actually inside of a business, you have to be able to delegate your business to responsibilities of other people. You have to trust other people that you bring into your business that they're going to be able to execute some of the components of your business that needs to be done. Because if you don't do that, you'll find yourself being marketing, human resources, distribution, sales, the COO, the CMO, the COO, the CFO, and by the time you turn around, and you're the employee.
What's the COO again?
That's that's operations.
Okay, yes.
Right. So basically, so the operations officer. So basically, if you're holding all those hats, then who's growing the business? How does the business grow? If you actually are taking the order, let's say if you have a thing where you're making dresses, and you're actually taking the order and you're making the dresses, and you're going to the fittings, and this client is said they want to make changes, and it's 2 to 3 weeks for you to get the dress right, and whatever. And by the time you get it right and give it to the person, okay, you made $700-800, but you made it over 3 or 4 weeks. And you haven't been able to do anything else. You haven't even scaled in your mind what happens if I get an order when I have 10 dresses.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the top 3 reasons why small businesses fail. Again, according to the Small Business Administration, is low productivity, and low profits.
Right.
So meaning you're not able to put out that product fast enough for the amount of people who are asking for it, which makes your business go out of business faster. And
that exactly is the next component of actually your thought process. Once you actually think about what you want to do, and you got the passion, you got the drive and the desire, then you have to sit down and legitimately have a conversation with yourself as to what am I worth? Because here's the problem. Far too often in the society in which we live, other people tell us what we're worth. So if you apply for a job or whatever it is, the first thing we want to do is go on Glassdoor and see what the industry says that job is worth. And then, or the employer says, okay, we're going to give you this amount to start and this amount incrementally and so forth. And then you buy into that because that's what I am worth. Even the athletes are told what they're worth. So when you start your own business, it's very hard for people to understand how to price themselves because you have to appraise yourself, or rather other people are praising you.
Facts.
So, and then the other thing about it is fear again. People are afraid to assign a number to themselves because it always seems like they're asking too much, because really society has taught you that you're not worth that much. So now you don't know how to adequately price yourself. So now when somebody's asking you how much is the dress, you're not looking at it from your entrepreneurial mind, your capitalistic mind. You're looking at what price point will be pleasing to them. And when you give that price point to them so that they'll be pleasing to them, then I will guarantee you they will overwork you for that little bit of money that you're going to make. So, and then the other thing about it is haggling. We tend to ask people newly in business, let people haggle the hell out of us.
Shout out to that vocabulary word.
Because,
I appreciate that one, Russell.
Because what happens is that you start off knowing that, okay, well, if I got a 20% margin, all right, so I'm going to tell this client that's $1,000. And the client says, I don't know, I really want your product. I really can't, 2,000 is a lot. How about I could do 675, and then you say, well, I at least got to get 750 because I at least got to get 750, 800.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you figure that's what I paid. That's what's going to cost me to do it. But you just took your 20% off the top, so now you're working for free.
Yes, and then that's what I wanted to bring up. That's why I said shout out to that vocabulary word too, because when we talk about fear, people always throw in the word debt. A lot of people are scared to jump out there because when becoming a small business or entrepreneur, you have to invest in yourself. That's one of the biggest things you have to do. And the average U.S. small business owner has about $195,000 of debt, according to a 2016 report from Experian, which is a credit reporting financial service. And that's one of the biggest things that people fall short on because they're like, yo, I don't have this much money, I can't keep taking out money and different things like that, which is debt. So when you mention the word haggling, we're pretty much taking money away from us just so we can make a sale. So we get the sale, but we still don't get no profit off of that sale.
Right.
And that's another thing that we fall short at because we get excited about the sale, but there's no profit.
Right. So here's what the fallacy is in terms of small business. Like you'll hear people say, well, this is my first couple of ones. I want to get something on my Instagram showing that I made this or sold this or something like that.
That was a stab at millennials right there, Russell.
Well, a little bit. I'm trying to build up my resume or whatever they call it. But if you look at, all right, do it this way. You get a store that opens up on the corner of your block. They sell hoagies and have the little grocery store, the grocery items in there, typical corner store. Now, when they open up on the corner of your block, they say, okay, listen, we're going to go ahead and sell everything today for $1 because we want the neighborhood to know that we're here and it's starting to come here. Well, no. You walk in there day one, things cost what they cost. Now, some of the bigger stores, the chains,
Welcome to Revive.
Say, okay, we're having
It's about that time. Welcome to Revive. It's about that time. All I need is one mic. You know what time it is. Open up your ears. You know what time it is. Open up your mind. It's about that time. It's your girl P.O.C. Hey. It's your girl P.O.C. Hey. Proof of consciousness. Proof of consciousness. P.O.C. You know what time it is. Open up your ears. You know what time it is. Open up your mind. All I need is it's about that time. Welcome to Revive. Welcome to Revive. Welcome to Revive.
And then they get burnt out and say this is not worth it.